Mark Benioff built Salesforce by killing the old way of selling enterprise software. Now his own AI agents are killing the pricing model he invented. In 1999, CRM software cost millions and took a team of consultants just to install. Benioff sold the same idea for $50 a month per seat and called it the end of software. That single decision became the model investors still use to value every SaaS company on earth. 26 years later, his own AI product is proving that model cannot survive the thing that made Salesforce famous in the first place, which created a problem Benioff never had to think about in 1999. When Salesforce sold software for $50 per user per month, every new customer made the business more profitable. Software cost almost nothing to replicate. The model produced the kind of economics investors loved, gross margins often reaching 80% to 90%. Agentforce changes that equation. Every conversation costs money. Every action costs money. Every AI-generated response carries a real variable cost underneath it, which means the more successful Agentforce becomes, the more pressure Salesforce faces on the economics that made SaaS so attractive in the first place. Benioff is not facing this problem alone. The global SaaS market now sits at $408 billion, climbing toward $465 billion in 2026, inside a $6.15 trillion global IT budget. And across the industry, AI-native products are already running closer to 65% gross margins, not 90%. The market has started noticing. SaaS valuation multiples have fallen to roughly 3.4 times revenue, a decade low. For the first time since Benioff helped create the SaaS playbook, investors are questioning whether the underlying math still works. And that's where the obvious conclusion starts to form. If Agentforce can do the work of the customer service representative who used to log into Salesforce all day, why would companies keep paying for the same number of seats? The logic sounds brutal. Fewer employees using the software should mean fewer subscriptions. Fewer subscriptions should mean lower revenue. Lower revenue should mean lower valuations. It's the same pattern investors have already watched play out in companies whose products could be replaced the moment AI arrived. If that's what happens to Salesforce, then the company that invented modern SaaS pricing may have accidentally built the tool that destroys it. Watch what actually happened inside Salesforce. September 12, 2024. Benioff unveils Agentforce, an army of autonomous AI agents built to replace human service reps. His ambition: 1 billion agents deployed by the end of 2025. The pricing: $2 per conversation. On paper, elegant. In practice, chaos. One support leader calculated that 5 agents handling normal volume could generate $20,000 a month, with no ceiling. Within the first 2 quarters, Salesforce closed 12,500 Agentforce deals. Only 6,000 paid. May 2025, Salesforce scraps the model. New plan: flex credits, 0.10 per action. Late 2025, a third pivot. Per user licenses starting at $125 a month. The exact structure Agentforce was supposed to replace. 3 pricing models running simultaneously on the same product in 18 months. By Q1 fiscal 2027, Agentforce revenue crossed $1.2 billion, up 205% year over year. Growth is real. But only 8% of Salesforce's 150,000 plus customers have adopted it. And on the earnings call, Benioff said the obvious part out loud: the better Agentforce gets, the fewer human agents customers need. The fewer human agents customers need, the fewer seats Salesforce sells. And that's the paradox. Agentforce succeeds by reducing the very thing Salesforce used to charge for. One Salesforce engineer reported a 10% seat reduction across 90 enterprise accounts already. If the company that invented per-seat pricing can't escape this, who can? Now follow the money somewhere else. While Salesforce rewrote its pricing model 3 times in 18 months, Veeva Systems, a SaaS company selling only to life sciences, closed its fiscal year with $2.75 billion in revenue, up 16.5%, while net income rose 35.8%. No pricing crisis, no seat panic. Why? Veeva's customers aren't paying for software. They're paying for 20 years of regulated clinical proprietary workflows, embedded industry knowledge, and data advantages that no AI model can scrape, reproduce, or rebuild. Anyone can build a competing interface. Rebuilding 20 years of pharmaceutical proprietary context is a completely different challenge. That's what is happening. AI isn't killing SaaS. It's splitting it into two different businesses wearing the same label. 3 paths open from here. First, the vertical fortress. Companies sitting on proprietary data that AI cannot replicate become more valuable, while horizontal tools with no data moat become commodities. In other words, AI makes features cheaper, but it can make unique data more valuable. Second, the commoditization gap. SEG research found that 80% of buyers see AI-driven commoditization as the biggest risk to SaaS value. Only 25% of SaaS CEOs agree. That gap is where the next write-downs are hiding. Third, the framework collapse. McKinsey's 2025 research found companies redesigning workflows around AI are nearly 3 times more likely to generate meaningful earnings impact than companies simply layering AI onto existing processes. Most SaaS valuation models still assume a human renewing a seat every year. But if AI does the work instead of the employee, the seat stops being the unit that matters. That assumption is the structural villain here, and it is failing exactly the companies that built their valuations on it. Which brings Benioff to a decision every SaaS CEO is now being forced to make. 3 groups are shaping what happens next: the software vendors selling AI, the enterprise buyers approving the budgets, and the AI infrastructure companies underneath them. But Salesforce is already showing what the first group has to do. After 3 pricing pivots in 18 months, Benioff's direction is becoming clear. The future cannot be tied to seat count alone because AI reduces the number of seats customers need. If one AI agent can do the work of 5 employees, 5 licenses become 1. The old pricing logic breaks immediately, which means software companies must find a new unit of value. Some are moving toward outcome-based or value-based pricing. Others are racing to acquire or build proprietary datasets that make their AI more valuable than the models everyone else can access. The reason Veeva looks so different from Salesforce is not that Veeva has better AI. It's that Veeva owns proprietary workflows, embedded industry knowledge, and data advantages, which its customers cannot replace and AI cannot easily recreate. For buyers, that creates a new question at every renewal meeting. Are you paying for software that owns something unique? Or software that survives only because nobody has challenged it yet? The budget-leaving generic SaaS is already moving toward AI workflow platforms, enterprise data infrastructure, and software embedded directly into industry-specific workflows. And every company that cannot answer that question is heading toward the same pricing pressure Salesforce is confronting right now. If you run a software company, the real question isn't whether AI threatens your revenue. It's whether that revenue is protected by data nobody else has, or by a habit your customer hasn't broken yet. AI attacks habits first. Unique data is much harder to attack. Benioff spent 25 years killing software that charged too much for too little. His own AI agents are now running the same test on Salesforce. The biggest mistake investors can make is treating every SaaS company as if AI affects them equally. Benioff's struggle and Veeva's success suggest the opposite. AI is not creating one future for software, it's creating 2. One where software becomes a commodity, and one where software becomes the gateway to irreplaceable proprietary workflows, embedded industry knowledge, and data advantages. That's not a collapse in valuation, it's a transfer of valuation, and most of it hasn't been priced in yet. So the only question left is for your own stack. Which kind are you running?